let's talk aftermarket cables. Let's talk specifically about balanced cables. We're going from a 1/4 inch or 3.5 millimeter single-ended to a 4-pin XLR style balanced cable. Why would we do that? Why do we care? Are they better? And what about Periapt? Those guys seem to be all over the place. Is their stuff any good? The Headphone HE400i was probably one of the first headphones I had with interchangeable, removable cables. Came with some decent stock cables and a very pretty little box, and I was a happy man. And then I bought my first balanced amp, and curiosity got the best of me. I said, you know what? Let's find out what happens if you get some aftermarket cables and plug it in and run these things balanced. So I went out to the eBays and I procured myself this space polymer cable. And this is the Era of Headphone with the 2.5 millimeter plugs. So that's what it came with, and it's pretty nice 4-pin XLR termination. And you know, I sat there in front of my amp and I went back and forth between the single-ended cable it came with and the balanced cable, and lo and behold, I heard a difference. It wasn't earth-shattering, it wasn't a whole new world of listening, but it was undeniable. It was there. So what's the deal with balanced? Well, the main deal with balanced is that it's got separated ground for the left channel and the right channel. So instead of on a single-ended where you've got basically left, right, and ground, here we were actually separating out the ground per each channel. So you get a cleaner signal to the left and a cleaner signal to the right. So you might notice a little bit of separation, a little additional separation in the sort of space of the music and the sound staging and the sort of the stereo-ness of the music. Typically also you can push more power through a 4-pin balanced output on an amp. So if you go and look at the power ratings for a lot of popular amps, you're going to see that they're pushing more power. That doesn't always matter, but a lot of headphones really respond to having, you know, a little bit more oomph behind them. And I found that to be the case, especially with these big planars. They tend to like a big, you know, wad of power behind the signal. So I was like, well, I kind of don't want to believe this, because then that means I'm buying new cables every time I buy headphones, which seems like a thing an insane person would do. I also sort of hated this cable and it wasn't cheap. I mean, it was maybe $80 or something. I was like, well, these headphones, I think at the time, were still only like $200, and then buying $70-$80 cables, it just felt wacky. So I not too long after that ended up purchasing a pair of Sennheiser HD 6XXs from the Mass Drop, and they were offering at a time a aftermarket balanced cable from a company called Periapt. And I was like, all right, well, it's like $50 or $60. It seems kind of like a good deal, and I'm already sort of a convert to this whole balance thing. So I ordered it up, and it came, and I liked it. It's thick. It's covered in nylon. It doesn't really get tangled. It just felt good. I liked the connectors they were using. You know, not perfect. I mean, you look at sort of how some of the heat shrink gets cut and whatnot, and it's not perfect, but it's a good feeling cable. It's been very durable, and it sounds good. So I was like, well, I gotta look into these guys. So from kind of then on out, every time I got a pair of headphones, I ended up getting a pair of cables from him. So I had some Mr. Speakers. I got, wait, that's not the Mr. Speakers. Here we go. I had some Aeon Flows. They which have the coolest connector of almost any headphone. That's so cool. They had a option for those. I got this. So I got this one. So when you go to Periapt's website, you can choose your color. You can not be boring like me. You don't have to get black. There are other cable colors. Those are wrong, but they exist. No. Have fun. Get bright orange. Who cares? Go crazy. So you get to choose your color. You get to choose, obviously how you want this terminated. I'm always getting 4-pin XLR, so that's kind of the no-brainer part. And then you can choose from quite a large variety of supported headphones. And you can choose length. And so this is one of the first cables I ordered directly from them, and I ordered in 7-foot length because that seemed, it's the second smallest size they offer. I think the minimum you get is 5 foot, and then you go up. So I don't know. I just sort of picked it, sort of held some string out on my desk and said that feels right. I got it. It is right. It's a good size, but it's honestly a little bit long for desktop listening. And these are big chunky cables. I don't think this is a mobile cable. I don't think this is what you're taking if you're trying to put a little connection to your phone in your pocket. This is for sitting in your recliner. This is for sitting at your desk. And so I actually found this link to be a little bit annoying because I was kind of had this slack that I was managing. This cable's heavy, and that may be a thing that people hate. It's a thing I like, but I think some people may be really bothered by it. So in all my future ones, I bought 5 foot, which I find to be sort of the perfect desktop length. But that's probably a personal taste issue and a setup issue. Anyway, so I got these. I was very happy with these. Again, you can sort of see that, these are handmade. They show that a little bit, and they offer so many different styles of connections that, they've kind of worked out most of the details, but it's not perfect. But, these things are generally coming in that $60, $70, $80 range. And if you start shopping aftermarket balanced cables, especially if you get into the crazy this core, that core metal, like these suckers, hundreds of dollars, which I can't justify because maybe I don't have multi-$1,000 pair of headphones, or maybe because it just seems a little bit like BS. But I think for me this is the right level of spend for reward, and so there are some compromises in that. And I don't fault them. I'm very happy that they make this product because it's been kind of perfect for me. There's a pair I got for some Odyssey. I think maybe ZMF and some other people run these same little 4-pin, little micro XLR connections. A couple things about this one. So all of their cables at the Y have this shrink wrapped, I'm gonna guess it's probably 3D printed little thing that's theirs. I haven't seen this anywhere else. I think it's theirs. It's very durable. It feels good, but it's also super annoying because it's very squared right here, and so you can catch it on the edge of your desk. So that might make you crazy. The way I run my cables, it doesn't end up being a problem, but I have tried to stand up on occasion and gotten caught. The thing that drives me a little crazy, and this is not really their fault, Periapt's fault, this is sort of more an issue of this style of connector, is that it's directional. So if you take, for example, so if you take, for example, like a connection for a Headphone, the focus, the standard 3.5 millimeter, this thing can rotate, or rather the headphone can rotate around it, so it never really gets all that twisted up. But these guys, they don't turn, So as you pick your headphones up and put them down, and you put them down one way and you pick them up another way, these things can end up super twisted up, and then they got to go back. Again, it's not really a Periapt complaint. It's more just the practical reality of this style of connector. That being said, they do use this pretty thick paracord. Their actual main cable is pretty beefy. I suspect it's and I think I might have read this somewhere, but I don't think they have it on their site. Canare Star Quad, which is I believe Canare is a Japanese company, and maybe the original intent of this is microphone cable. I actually have speaker wire that runs that, if this is indeed what it is. That's a really nice cable, and there's a bunch of cool videos showing how distortion free it is and how good it is at blocking interference and slicks. Anyway, kind of a believer in that, whether that's what's inside here or not. What else? Let's continue my ramble. So anyway, so I was kind of like, well, this cable's kind of thick, and it's got this beefy Y connector. So I went back to the internet and said, I can't just be all Periapt all the time. I got to try some other brands. So I tried a Heart cable. There you go, these guys. And these guys have a really interesting model in that they basically, you order this top half of the cable with the termination that matches your headphone. So that's the 2.5 millimeter. So you order the top half of it in whatever length you want, and then they'll sell you the bottom part, which is basically the termination, in a whole bunch of different styles and sizes. And what's really cool about that is, let's say you do like to run balance, but occasionally you want to throw on a 3.5 millimeter single-ended plug, so you can plug it into your phone or your portable player or whatnot. You can just get this part instead of buying the whole cable. And I think their whole cable, like this plus this, ends up being pretty similar to Periapt, but I just didn't end up sort of trusting this cable as much. Gets a little more tangled. Doesn't feel like it has as much sort of isolation. This thing, while cool, the first one I got from them was janky and busted, and they did a good job about getting me out of a replacement. But even the replacement, it's just never quite felt right. And then it's like, I'm adding more connections. That's, I don't know, it just seems like there's more room for error and sound degradation here. So I ended up shopping around a bit more and really didn't find anything that was like price comparable to Periapt, which is why I keep going back to them. Also because they offer some unique things. So this is a pair of the dropped Fostex, the TRX00s, and they have a plug that looks exactly like the Sennheiser, but it's like the polarity's been reversed or something. You can't use Sennheiser cables on it, which is very annoying. I just wish people could all just like, let's settle out on the 3.5 millimeter or the 2.5 millimeter and just whatever. That's a lost cause. Anyway, so they worked with I believe the manufacturer out of Japan to source these plugs, and then they made cables for them. So I like that they offer so many options for so many different cables. They also work with, if you follow Mod House and the Fostex mods, the Argons, they make a cable for those guys, and this has got this four pole. This is a balanced termination of a 3.5 millimeter, which is cool because the Argons and the I can't remember the original name of the Fostex TR50P, something like that. They just terminate into a single plug, so he rewires them to be balanced. So this is kind of a cool cable in that you just get like one-sided plugged in, and then the carryover wires inside the headphone for the other. I guess it goes into your left side, so for the right channel. So that's pretty cool. So one of the things I decided is I like that 5-foot length because it's exactly what I kind of need most of the time. But there are times when I want to, sit back in a recliner that's further away from my gear, or stand up or whatever. And so I also got from my friends at Periapt, these guys don't know me, they don't pay me, they don't care about me. So this is just me, in my opinions. They will also make you just a extension cable, which you could also get as an adapter cable. I was sort of inquiring about getting one of these guys to a single-ended for a new amp I have that's not balanced. So they'll kind of mix and match anything you want here. But this is just a 10-foot extension cable, and the nice thing about the quality of cable they're using and the 4-pin balanced is that I think you can run a decent length of it. Now it's not the same as when you're running XLR balance between components and they're basically flipping the signal like a 3-pin. So two 3-pin XLR cables when you're running between equipment with a left and right channel each, and they are doing the sort of inverse signals that get rematched back at the equipment. That's when you can run huge lengths of XLR without any problems of loss or distortion. This is not the same, right? This is just a left and right channel and a left and right ground. But nonetheless, I've used this 10-foot extension and I can't really detect any significant volume or power loss when I run this versus when I just run the cable directly into the amp. So it's a really nice solution in that you can have any of your cables be longer now if all of your cables share this termination. So cables. I think that about wraps it up. Yeah, I'm a believer. Maybe I'm a sucker, but I definitely think that balanced offers a little something extra, and if you're putting some money into your amp and you're putting some money in your headphones, it's nice to make that little last mile be as good as it can be. I think that Periapt offers a very sort of price competitive per quality solution. You do get I don't do unboxings. I can't. But just to kind of show you, this is a very down to earth company. You do get this little box. You do get a little, I think this is kind of cute actually. You get their little sort of certificate, and they outline kind of who built it and who tested it. And what I kind of enjoy is they note what pair of headphones it was tested on and what song they listened to while testing it. So Soundgarden, Black Hole Sun. All right. Anyway, that's that for today. Hope that was helpful. I don't know if you found a cable that you love better that's sort of in this same price range. I'd love to hear about it. I'm always open to new things, although I have a lot of matching black cables now. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, check out some of the other videos on the channel. I'm going to keep putting a few of these out, so if you've got suggestions, questions, ideas, love to hear them. Please subscribe, give it a like, give me a comment. That all helps out and sort of raises the awareness of the channel. So all right.